Yeah, as you know, we recently released the mapper for Rhino, which in its essence, what we were trying to achieve in that was trying to bridge the gap between the CAD applications and the BIM applications. At Speckle, we are trying to enable workflows that are not usually possible, or we're trying to prevent the default choice of picking, either CAD or BIM. We're trying to make them work together. Yeah, so that effort concluded in the mapper for Rhino, and now we're expanding that functionality into the SketchUp connector. So let me quickly talk about that. So in its current state, SketchUp connector, the mapper functionality supports direct shape creation. You might ask, what are direct shapes? Direct shapes are essentially, primarily intended for quickly placing geometries without a need for, creating loadable families. They have some functionalities of a loadable family, such as they have the category information, they have maybe the material information, but it's not actually like quite suited for, how do you say, quantity takeoff workflows maybe, or real modeling with some tagging, etc. Right? But they are still useful if you want to have like quickly see where your model is, have the context, maybe see the dimensions, quickly document them, etc. Yeah, in its current state, Mapper for SketchUp has the functionality to convert your SketchUp geometry into direct shapes with categories and materials. So let me quickly show you how that looks like in SketchUp. So this is a model that I downloaded from the SketchUp's huge library of 3D models. This is from 3D Warehouse, and I just organized it a bit. And each category now has its own layer. If we quickly go through them, you can see that it has the windows in Windows layer, walls are here, I have the doors, etc., floors, right? And let's say that you are interested in having this model inside Revit for documentation purposes or for whatever else, right? So you can start using Mapper by simply clicking on this blue brick, and you will have our Speckle connector. And with the latest 2.14 release, we added this new tab called Mapper. And how it works is pretty simple, actually. You have 3 accordion menus. The first one is the selection you make, so it is interactive, right? If you select a component, you see what you have selected. If you select a face, you see that you actually selected the face. Or if you select an edge, you see you selected an edge. If you make multiple selections with some faces, components, edges, we are working on adding some filtering options quickly from this selection dialog. The second one is where actually magic happens. So let's say that I want to convert this roads into a road category element in Revit, right? I can simply make a selection and this dialog gets activated. For now, I'm not really interested in this 2 cards. Let's stick with the first one, which is the mapper method. Currently, as I said, we only have the direct shape conversion, but in the future we will have the functionality to create native Revit elements such as floors, ceilings, walls, roofs, columns, etc. The second dropdown is the category. So in this case, I'm interested in assigning the roads category. If you want, you can also give it a name. So I'll name it as cool roads, but this is totally optional, right? Once you click on apply, the third dialog, we have an update. We have 1 element mapped, right? And you can see that it's under the roads category. Let's say that I'm going to map this quickly as topography. I can do so. And now I have another item. So within this dialog, I can quickly filter what I have mapped, right? So I can quickly select these 2 and hide them so I can see what's left. Or I can isolate them so I can see what I have mapped. If I'm going to make some selection, I can select them, or I can, clear mapping from the mapped elements using this button. All right, so this is the direct shape mapping, but what I have talked so far is the instance mapping. So we can store the mapping information in the elements themselves, the single entities, or in definitions. If you are a SketchUp user, I am pretty sure that you always work with components. And the feature that we have added, mapping by definition, makes things so easy. Right? So if, let's say that you want to map this window as a window element, if you were to try to map this using the single entity method, right? Let's quickly do that. So I'm going to say this is going to become a window, right? And press apply. Once I do that, I have this check icon here, and that element is also added here. But if I select another instance of the same component, you can see that this is not actually mapped. So in this case, you have to manually select all the instances of the same component and then add the mapping information, right? But in the future, you can also add more instances of that component. So this is not actually future safe, right? So I am going to clear mapping from this element. So instead of mapping components by instances, we recommend you to map them by their definition. So in this case, I'm only going to select one instance of this window and say this is going to become a window category, and its name is automatically detected from the name of the component definition. Right? When I click on apply and select another instance of the same component, this one is also mapped. So this way, if I add more instances of the same component, I made sure that they will also get mapped as under the Windows category with their names, etc. We can quickly do the same for doors if we wanted to. I can say these are going to become door. Their name is automatically detected, and they are here. All right, so this is the mapping process. I'm not going to map everything, so I will just open a file that I have already mapped. And sanding the mapped elements is as usual as any other sand from SketchUp. You simply go to Streams, create a new project. I already created one for this demo. So the mapper demo is here. You simply select what you want to send and click on Send. Speckle connector takes care of the conversions with their mapping information attached, uploads it to the Speckle server. And in the meantime, we can switch to Revit. I have created a new project. Let me quickly hide the levels. It is uploading it. Okay, it's already sent. Let's view it on the web. And here is my model from SketchUp inside our beautiful viewer. Right, so now if I switch to Revit and activate the Speckle connector from the Speckle tab and Revit connector, select the same project, and instead of sending this time, we're going to receive data from SketchUp. So let's click on Receive and Receive. Now our Revit connector will convert all the geometries from Speckle to Revit format. And look at that. Voila, right here. So I can select my walls, and they are under the walls category. Right? I can select maybe a window, and they are under the windows category. And the same is true for the planting. Right? And I can actually quickly hide my walls if I wanted to. And yeah, the beautiful thing about this is each item is individually created. So we are creating this object level link between the two applications. All right, everyone. So this is the current state of the mapper for SketchUp. So what's next? We are currently working on adding new mapping methods to the mapper for SketchUp. We will add converting faces to walls, floors, ceilings, and roofs. And also we are working on adding conversion of SketchUp edges into Revit columns, beams, and braces. This is the next phase, but we will obviously have more functionality on the mapper for SketchUp.